Well, there wasn't something on the shelf that I reached out to. There was nothing really. This evolved organically through my own history. And when I was a teenager, I had entered into a workshop with a fellow named Stanley Rosenberg, who I rediscovered just last year. He's a world famous body worker, but in the 1970s, he ran a workshop at the YMHA of Midwestchester, and I was by far the youngest person there. It was a La Mama Theater workshop, and they taught us things like slow, gentle movement, progressive relaxation, being able to sense other people's proximity with our eyes closed, doing some sorts of meditation. I think I was about 17 or 18. And I loved it. And then, of course, found pot. That worked. And that's the path I took. So, yeah, I stopped in 1999, and I had been seeing a doctor, a psychiatrist all along, before, during, and after, and I still do. And I remember telling him, long before I discovered Qigong, long before I met Michelle and had acupuncture, long before I did any classes, I said to him one day, I've rediscovered my spirituality. It was waiting for me in this relaxation meditation I used to do. Now, I had taken that, which I had done at 17, 18, and I did not totally abandon it. I actually further developed that through my 20s and 30s and even later into a very, very sophisticated and profound internal tracing of muscles and blood vessels, and even through the ears and the eyes and the intestines and so on. I didn't even realize it, but I was really doing a very involved form of what is called Neigong, which is relaxation meditation. So, how did I bring all this about? Again, it's a confluence of events. In my health club, which I went to, I used to go into the whirlpool, and there was a fellow in there named Jerry. And Jerry and I used to talk, and he would talk about accounting, and then acupuncture, that he got acupuncture every week, and I would talk about recovery and whatever it was that I was talking about, and he kept on saying, you gotta try acupuncture. And I would go, yeah. You gotta try, yeah. And something had happened that I had lost a very dear old friend who was a sponsor of mine, who was 90 years old. And I was ready for an experience. And so I booked a session with Michelle Davidson, who was the acupuncturist. And I had my first session in 2003. Now, I had a lot of some physical issues lingering. And right after I left the acupuncture, I had a problem with my leg, and the problem really seemed to improve, like boom, just like that. And I said, there's something going on here. And I would start to do acupuncture like other people would do massage. And I would do it every week. And after about 6 months, I started buying books on acupuncture. And she was actually laughing at me because one of them is a tome, it's like this thick, and a few years later she said, I'm not laughing at you anymore. And in 2005, we went to the Omega Institute and took a class with a fellow named Dr. Roger Yanka, doctor of Oriental Medicine, who is a teacher of Qigong. And I got bit. And I started studying Qigong and went through hundreds and hundreds of hours of school. I enrolled in Pacific College of Oriental Medicine. And it was not too long after really starting to get involved with this that I saw the balance of the recovery and the Qigong. Because in its upper levels, Qigong is very much about character rearrangement. It's very much about learning how to notice the stress in the body. It's very much about releasing addictive tendencies. And what I saw really very early on was a stereoscopic view of healing. Along with the Chinese medicine and the Qigong, I developed a real sense of ability to feel and transmit qi. So part of what I do is also working with others. And that's another aspect in totality of what I do. But what I engage in now is bringing into people's lives who are in recovery the aspects of Chinese medicine which will allow them to enter into what is called the parasympathetic portion of the somatic nervous system, to start to generate beneficial neuropeptides like oxytocin and GABA and serotonin, which is now well documented known fact that certain types of meditative activity will change the body. Similarly, and maybe even just as important, what I'm able to bring into people who would not call themselves classically addicted, but who come into a class like yoga or come into a class like Qigong, there are parts of an addictive tendency and parts of resentment or anger or fear that they may expect to go away by coming into a meditation class, but it may actually become worse. So I bring into a conventional Qigong class aspects of the recovery process, which is something that probably a lot more people that would really ever say it to anyone in their lives would say, you know what, maybe I should be like checking out one of those meetings. And this gives them an opportunity to deal with some of the principles of that in a mind-body program. And it's incredibly healing.